what's good? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. I'm Leah for those of you who are new. So I thought today I'd come and give you guys some tips about moving city alone, because obviously it's a new year now, so maybe some of you are thinking, hey, should I move city? Should I just have like a whole fresh start kind of thing? And I thought I'd come and give you guys some tips and share a bit about my experience of moving city alone, so hopefully the process is like less daunting for you guys. So yeah, let's get into it. So a bit of background on me and why I decided to move. So I was born and raised in a small town in Shropshire, very small town. You know, like everybody knows everyone kind of vibe, that type of small town. Like there's not like a hell of a lot going on, and I definitely never saw myself staying there my whole life. Like I definitely knew that I would want to move eventually, but I was never sure when or where or anything like that. And then when I finished college at 18, I decided to go to uni, and I got into Birmingham City University. And I didn't actually move out for uni for the first 2 years. I didn't move out because honestly, this sounds so bad, but like I wasn't really bothered about going to uni and having the whole uni experience. Like I kind of just wanted to get my degree and then cook kind of thing. So I was just like, I'm not really bothered about moving out or anything like that. So for the first 2 years of uni, I was literally just commuting back and forth. And on the business course that I was doing, for your final year, you basically did a placement year and did uni at the same time. So literally I'd work my 9-to-5 job and then go home, do like my uni research and all the essays, etc., things like that. And because I was kind of thinking like it's going to be too much to be working a 9-to-5 and commuting all that way and then having to do my uni work, I was like, right, it's time to just move to Birmingham. I'm just gonna move to Birmingham city centre, and it would just make everything a lot easier, because I was like, well, I can just walk to and from work kind of thing. And yeah, definitely it was the best decision that I could have made. I feel like moving city alone and just starting a new life is like a top tier decision, especially if you come from a small town. Like honestly, I highly recommend it. I feel like this might sound a little bit dramatic, but it's definitely up there with one of the best life decisions I've ever made, because I just think you just grow so much as a person. And yeah, I'm just so glad that I decided to do it. It's been about 4.5 years now since I moved out of my small town, and definitely have never had any regrets. I've never thought, oh, should I move back or anything like that. Like, yeah. But yeah, over the 4.5 years that I've been in Birmingham, I have moved about a little bit. I think this is the 5th apartment that I'm now living in Birmingham, and I've like moved out the city centre, back to the city centre. But yeah, like there is no going back to Shropshire. So one super important factor to consider when moving city is whereabouts are you gonna live. And in my personal experience, I knew that I just wanted to be as close as possible to work, because I didn't want to have to be driving every day. I just wanted to be able to walk there. So I decided to move pretty much to the city centre, because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be driving in and out of town every single day. I was like, absolutely not. So I decided to move to the city centre, and I decided to move into student accommodation because I was still allowed to, even though I was on a placement year. And it was only like a 10-minute walk away from where I was working, and it was super close to all of the restaurants, the clubs and things like that. And yeah, it was definitely ideal for me because I just wanted to be close to everything. But yeah, obviously everybody's criteria is going to be different, and I guess it kind of depends on why you've decided to move city. So yeah, it's just something to think about. And also obviously your monthly budget as well is going to play a part in where you decide to move. You know, I'd check out things like Rightmove and see like kind of rent prices, and just kind of get an idea on what you can afford. So I definitely say for any areas that you're considering moving to, definitely make sure you visit and kind of see what's around in the area and see if it's somewhere you can see yourself living. So I would just walk around, make sure you properly check out the area, because for the second place that I lived in Birmingham, I decided to move out of the city centre. And I kind of just went on other people's recommendations, and I kind of heard them saying like, oh, this area is a really nice area, like you should move there kind of thing. And after probably about 2 weeks of living in that area, I was like, this place isn't for me. Like there's not as much going on as I'd like there to be, and I was just like, this place isn't really my vibe. So I definitely say spend a good amount of time in the area and kind of like get a feel for the place before you decide to move. Because honestly, with me and the second place that I lived, like I literally went to the viewing, and that was kind of the only time I'd ever like driven through that area, and it kind of seemed decent on the surface, but then I think when I like really thought about it, I was like, this isn't the place for me. So yeah, I definitely say make sure you visit the place and spend a good amount of time there before you kind of make the decision. I'd also say if you can, visit day and night, because you kind of want to know if at night it turns into like a really rowdy place. Is it just quiet and chill? And yeah, so if you can, maybe see how you feel in that area at the night time. But yeah, I know with me and my first studio apartment, because it was student accommodation, I actually already knew people that lived there, and I'd visited that apartment block a few times, day and night. So I already felt safe in that area, and I kind of already knew my way around. It was kind of after the life became a bit tricky, and I regretted not visiting places and like spending more time there and really like sussing out the area. So yeah, one thing that I used to get super stressed about as well when I just moved city was actually feeling like I wasn't settled into a routine, and I feel like I wasn't settled into living in the city, and I would honestly like feel so frustrated and so lonely that I was like in this new city on my own. But I think one thing that I wish I kind of just accepted was the fact that it was going to take time, and like I wasn't going to just walk into Birmingham and be like, oh, this is my home now. Like it took a while for me to feel fully settled and like I guess integrated into the city, because yeah, it does just take a while to get into like your little routine and find people that you want to hang out with, and it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. So yeah, one thing I'd say is just like don't beat yourself up about like not being in a routine or having friends and just feeling like your life has been flipped upside down kind of thing. Like just give it time, you know. But yeah, I was even thinking yesterday about like the amount of people that I've met since living in this city, but like not everyone's gonna be like your best friend straight away kind of thing. Like you just have to kind of, it will take a little while to have like a proper kind of group of friends kind of thing. So yeah, don't be expecting like miracles. And yeah, I definitely recommend starting a hobby. So many of you will know, if you follow me on Instagram, or I do mention it on this channel like all the time, that I do pole fitness, and pole has definitely been so good for me. So if you don't have a hobby, definitely find one, or see if you can go to like an art class or a yoga class or something like that. But hobbies are so good, because for one, it's an opportunity to meet new people who have a similar interest to you, but also it does start to become part of your routine. So I know for me, like I go to pole like 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm like, okay, on a Monday night I go there, on a Wednesday night I go there, and it kind of, it builds part of like your routine, and it will help you feel like less lonely for sure. Because I don't know, I feel like part of the stress of like moving city alone is feeling like I have nothing to do in this city, like where do I go kind of thing. So if you kind of add these like little things to do and add it into your routine, you will definitely feel so much better. And I just think there's something good about like seeing the same people every week. It kind of, you feel like you're part of a community kind of thing, because it's like you're all going to the same place. And yeah, one place that I also made friends was the gym, but it wasn't until I started going to gym classes that I'd like chat to the other girls and be like, hey, I'm Leah, and then we'd all kind of like talk together kind of thing, and then go on nights out together. So yeah, I feel like you kind of have to like push yourself out there, go to like classes, and you just never know who you might meet. If you're thinking about taking an art class or something like that, like your new best friend could be in that art class. So just push yourself out there, find a hobby, something that you're interested in, and yeah. One thing that I also really value and has become like a key part of my routine and helps me feel a part of the city is things like nail appointments and facial appointments, where you can kind of not become like friends with your nail lady, facial lady, etc., but they kind of become acquaintances that you see every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, etc. And it's just nice for me, and I highly recommend it. Obviously it depends what type of salon you go to, but yeah, I think there's just something nice about having that person that you see like every couple of weeks kind of thing, and it does become part of like your routine and something that you do. And yeah, I just recommend it. One thing that I really had to do when I first moved city was really push myself out of my social comfort zone, otherwise I would have been so lonely. So when I first moved, like I mentioned before, I was moving for a placement year, and while I was on my internship, most Fridays they'd go for like Friday night drinks, and like they'd always ask me if I wanted to go, and I was kind of like, no, like I'm not really feeling this, I don't really want to go, like no, like I've seen you people like all week, why am I now going to spend my Friday with you kind of thing. I was kind of like on that vibe. I was like, why would I want to see you? Like no. So I'd literally just say no all of the time, and I just wouldn't go. And then the company, they basically had like a really good quarter and hit all their sales targets and whatever, so they put on like a day to celebrate. So obviously now I'm like, oh, I God, I'm gonna have to like socialize with these people. But what they basically organized was like this kind of like spy day thing, and then we had karaoke, drinks, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to like get to know these people. And when I tell you that I actually had the best time ever, and I actually got to know people, like I got to know some of the girls, and I was like, oh my God, like you people are actually really cool. Why have I been so antisocial and like not been speaking to people and not like going out for drinks kind of thing? I was just like, I've actually been fully missing out. And then after that, they kind of became like my work friends, and like we'd go for lunches together, we'd see each other on the weekends, etc. And that was actually how I managed to feel a bit more settled in the city, because I started to feel like I actually had friends and people that I liked in the city. But before that, because I was being so antisocial and like saying no to going out for drinks all the time, like I wasn't like getting to know anybody, and I just felt super lonely. And then after that, anytime they'd be doing like drinks after work, I'd be there. And like, but yeah, friendships do definitely take like a little bit of extra work, like especially if you want them to be like longer lasting friendships, like they are going to take work. So like say for example with me, there was like some girls that I do pole with, and I was like, hey, I really get on with these girls well. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to invite them on a night out, and we went on a night out together, and then we've just been friends ever since. We've been on a few nights out, we did like a Christmas party together. But it takes someone to say like, let's go here. Otherwise it's just gonna be like, yeah, like I met that person, then they're cool, but like that's it kind of thing. Like you do actually have to put a bit of effort in and say, let's go out here. And then yeah, obviously you have to try and like keep it up and maintain those friendships. So like, yeah, just keep organizing drinks out or whatever you want to do. And yeah, I'd also say maintain relationships with your hometown friends, unless you're trying to like cut them off for good and start a whole new life and never talk to them. Definitely maintain relationships with them. And I know that when I first moved, I'd invite the girls over and we'd go on nights out and stay in my little like studio flat, and it was just nice because it's like, okay, like you're like a piece of home that's like in my new home, and it just felt so good. And then like obviously if you go back there, then you can like go out with them still, and it's not like weird or anything like that. So yeah, I definitely say maintain your relationships, because honestly sometimes it can feel like, oh my God, I've just got like no friends. But I think if you kind of remember that you have like your hometown friends still, I know they're not like with you kind of thing, but I think if you remember that you do have them and you can always invite them over or go and see them if needs be, then it's kind of a nice feeling, you know? So I also recommend networking events. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say that I go to networking events every week, and I've met so many people at networking events. I've been to a few, and obviously because of everything that's been going on in the world, there hasn't really been that many networking events going on. However, I have noticed that some of them have started coming back and they look really good. I do think that networking events can generally be a little bit hit and miss, and a lot of the time they're not really my scene, especially the property ones, I'll be completely honest. But yeah, I definitely recommend seeing if there's any networking events that you would enjoy. So I've actually booked onto 2 networking events, and they're sort of like brunches run by other black girls, and they're gonna cover things like mental health, self-love. And I was like, well, that sounds like my type of event, like my type of people will be there. So I was like, I'll definitely book onto that. So yeah, just have a look and see if there's any networking events that take your fancy. I know like the kind of old school professional networking events, like you'll never see me there. That's just not my vibe. But if you can find some that are like, they kind of look like your type of people, then definitely book onto them. I'd also say try and find networking events where people like run them regularly, like maybe like every month or every 2 months or something like that, just so it's like, you know that there's like a place to go. Because I went to this one networking event once, yeah, that was so good, and I literally loved it, and I was like, oh my God, I could do this all the time. But it was like literally a one-time thing. But yeah, a good place to find networking events is Eventbrite. So if you want to find like a brunch networking event, then just type in brunches. And also Instagram as well, but I think it's difficult with Instagram because it's kind of hard to like search. But if you ever see, so this is what I did, I saw that someone that I know had gone to like this networking event, and then I saw that she'd like tagged them, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna follow them, and then I'll just go to the next event they do, and then that's how I've like ended up finding out about it. But yeah, you've just got to kind of like keep a lookout. And yeah, my next tip I would say does take a little bit of time, but it's so beneficial. I think it's beneficial for everybody to become comfortable being alone. So I've definitely, you know, I've gone through my fair share of loneliness. However, now I actually really enjoy being alone, and I just feel so at peace when I'm like with myself. I really look forward to like just being on my own. I know that sounds really antisocial, but like, you know, when you've had a busy day and it's just like, oh, I just want to like be by myself and like just do what I want, watch a film or watch whatever I want on Netflix and just have some time alone. I also really love going on solo dates. So like I took myself out for a roast dinner the other day at Bank, and it was just so nice to like spend time alone, and I'd really been craving a roast dinner, so I was like, I'm just gonna go for my roast dinner. And I feel like once you feel comfortable just being on your own, it just feels so good and you just feel a lot more free. Like I find it really like liberating, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, but I might do like some videos on like being alone and solo dates, etc. But yeah, let me know if you'd be interested in that, and then yeah, I'll film it. My next tip is to make your place feel homely. So the second apartment that I moved into, the one that I mentioned before that was in the area that I didn't really like, that apartment, I mean, it was tiny. Like as soon as I moved all of my stuff into that apartment, I was like, there is no space for anything. Like I don't even think it had a wardrobe. It was literally just like a little box apartment. You could not swing a cat in it, and I couldn't do anything to it. Like I couldn't make it more homely, and like there was mold on the wall and it was cold and there was rats outside, and I was like, no, like this place isn't homely. So it definitely became a place where I would just like literally come in and rest my head. Like I was just like, this isn't my home. But I definitely say like now where I live, I've been able to make it a bit more homely. Like I've got artwork on the wall, I've got like my rug on the floor, and it has just started to feel like my home, and I'm really enjoying my time living here kind of thing. And it doesn't just feel like a random place that I'm like cotching in kind of thing. It does feel like my home, and I'm starting to love it here. So yeah, definitely make your place feel as homely as possible. Otherwise it's just gonna be like, it's not gonna feel nice. So my final tip isn't gonna be for everyone. Not everyone's circumstances are gonna allow for this, but I would say get a pet. So you can probably hear my dog walking up and down right now. Louis, see if you come over. Come here. I think he knows I'm trying to put him in the camera and he's getting shy. But I would say since I got little Louis, oh here he is. But I would definitely say getting Louis has been such a good decision. So I definitely say for one, when it comes to getting a pet, obviously they can keep you company, and I feel like dogs are just so funny, and they just have their own like little weird personalities that just like make you laugh all the time. So they're definitely gonna keep you company. But also, since I've had to start walking this dog every day, the amount of different people that I've like met is insane. Like honestly, I feel like every time I go out on a walk, I'll definitely see someone that I've bumped into before kind of thing. And I think it is becoming more common as well for like modern apartments to be pet friendly and allow people to have like cats and dogs. And I think people have got rabbits here and things like that. So definitely consider getting a pet. But yeah, it's so nice when like your dog gets on with another dog and they can kind of have like little mini play dates together kind of thing. And then obviously you can get to know the owners as well. And yeah, I feel like I'm fully a part of like the dog walking community, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. And then obviously there's like dog play groups and things like that. But yeah, I would say if you've been debating moving city alone for a little while now, please just do it. I think you just have to tell yourself that like ultimately if it goes wrong, you can just move back home. And yeah, like never see it as like, oh my god, this is the most permanent decision ever kind of thing. Like you can't always just move back if you don't like it, if you don't enjoy it. But it's definitely the best thing that I've done, and yeah, I'm definitely so glad that I moved out of my city. I am like low-key considering moving city again, but I don't know, I'm so like all over the place. But yeah, I highly recommend it, and yeah, just go for it. You never know what crazy experiences you'll have and how you'll just change as a person. Like you'll definitely grow, and yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this has helped some of you guys out if you are thinking about moving city. If you enjoyed the video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.